I'm Anil Kumar. Let me thank all the viewers and subscribers for watching my videos and posting excellent questions. Here are a few questions from one of our subscribers. He wants to understand how to solve rational equations. So I've taken all the three questions in this video. Let us see how to solve them. Now when you have an equation in front of you like this, you should first write down the restrictions. So first and foremost, to begin with, we should look into restrictions. So let me write restrictions on this side. The denominator cannot be 0. That is the base for these restrictions. So basically, let me write here, whenever we are writing restrictions, we are saying basically in such equation, denominator cannot be 0, right? Since you cannot divide by 0. So whatever terms make the denominator 0, we have to look into those. X plus 1 could be 0 if x is minus 1. So our restriction is that x is not equal to minus 1, right? The other value is minus 2, and then it cannot be equal to minus 4 also. But x could be any other value. Now in question number 2, x is not equal to a, b and c, and in question number 3, x is not equal to 3 and 5. So we have to only look into the denominator. Is that clear, right? So at times you might get a situation where in solution you might get that as your answer, right? So do not include that in your answer. Now let's begin with solving and understand some of the strategies related with solving rational equations. Now what we can do here is that we can multiply each and every term by the common denominator. So first step is to look for common denominator. So in our case, the common denominator will be x plus 1 times x plus 2 times x plus 4. So we need to multiply each and every term with this denominator so that we get this in the denominator itself. That's the whole idea. So look at like this. So we have these three terms. So let me rewrite the equation first. We have 1 over x plus 1 plus 2 over x plus 2 equals to 4 over x plus 4. Now, when I multiply the first term by all these three terms, in that case, x plus 1 cancels and we are left with the product of x plus 2 and x plus 3. So instead of 1, we are going to get for the first term x plus 2 times x plus 4, correct? Plus. For the second term, we already have x plus 2. That will cancel out this time and these two terms will appear with times 2. So we get 2 times x plus 1 times x plus 4, right, equals to 4 times product of these two, which is x plus 1 times x plus 2. So when you multiply with the common denominator, what do we achieve? We achieve something without a fraction. So we have a polynomial equation. Correct? Now, of course, in this equation, we should write down restrictions, which is x is not equal to minus 1, minus 2, and minus 4. That is a must. Perfect? Now, let's open these brackets and simplify just as you do polynomials. So, we get x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8. Here we get plus, we'll multiply by 2 later, right? Let's multiply with these terms. So we get x squared plus 4x plus x plus 4. And here we'll 4 times x squared plus 2x plus x plus 2, right? So now we can combine the like terms. We can actually bring all of them together also, and then we can combine the like terms. Okay, let me go one more step here. So we'll open these and then bring them together. Okay, so we have x squared plus 4 plus 2 is 6x plus 8 plus 2 times x squared. Now here we have 4 plus 1, 5. 5 times 2 is 10, right? So we have 10x. 4 times 2 is 8. equals to 4 times x square. 2 plus 1 is 3 and 3 times 4 is 12 plus 4 times 2, 8. Right? Now you can bring all the terms together. So we have, it's better to take them to the right side since we want to keep x square coefficient positive. So let me write here 0 equals to 4x square, and as far as x square terms are concerned, minus 2x square minus x square, correct? Now let's look into the x terms. 12x minus 10x minus 6x, the constants, plus 8 minus 8 minus 8. Okay, right, so it should be equal to 0. Now let's combine 0 I wrote on this side, okay, no need to write here. Okay, so 4x square minus 2x minus x square gives me x square. 12 minus 2 is 2, and then we get minus 8x, right? 12 minus plus 2, so minus 4x. Okay, and here we get minus 8 equals to 0. Now you could factor it, but in this case we cannot really factor. We don't have sum and product situation here. So we'll use the quadratic formula. We have left with no option, correct? So we'll use the quadratic formula and write down our solution. Quadratic formula, if you have equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, in that case x is equals to minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. So this is the formula which we are going to use to find x. So x is equal to minus of 4, which is 4, plus minus square roots, square of minus 4, which is 16, minus 4 times a and c. C is minus 8, right? Over 2 times a is 1. So that is what you get. Or you get 4 plus minus. Now this is 32, right? So it is 16 plus 32 over 2, and that gives you 16 plus 32 is 48, and 48 could be written as 3 times 16. So you could write this as 4 plus minus 3 times 16, 16 square root is 4. So you could write this as 4 square root 3, right? I just cut down few steps here since we're running out of space. So now I could write x as equal to, there are two solutions dividing by 2. We get 2 plus minus 2 square root of 3, right? So that is the solution, okay? Now let me write on this side what I did here for square root 48, right? So square root 48, which is 16 plus 32, I wrote this as square root of 16 times 3, which is 48. Square root of 16 is 4, so I got 4 square root 3, correct? So that is how I got this term 4 square root 3. I hope that makes sense, correct? So we get two solutions for the given situation, and you can see this is not one of our restrictions, so that becomes the solution for the given equation. Perfect. So that is how you're going to solve it. Now let's take question number 2. Now let us see how to solve the second equation. Solve a over x minus a plus b over x minus b equals to 2c over x minus c. Well, the restrictions are that x is not equal to a, b, and c, right? So we'll again multiply by the common denominator and then solve, right? So basically what we're trying to do here is we are trying to multiply each and every term with the terms x minus a times x minus b times x minus c, correct? That's what we are going to do. So after we do this, what do we get? We get a times product of these two, right, which is x minus b times x minus c, plus b times product of the other two. So we get x minus a times x minus c equals to 2c times product of these two, which is x minus a times x minus b, correct? Now let's expand. So we have a here, x times x is x squared minus, treat a, b, c as constants, we'll write them first, so cx, correct? And then minus bx, product of b and c with positive side, Now here we get b times x squared minus cx minus ax plus ac equals to 2c times x squared minus bx minus ax plus ab, correct? Now we can actually combine the like terms. Okay, let's expand it further. So what we will do first is we'll kind of look into the x squared terms, correct? See how. So if I multiply with a, I get a square x squared b squared 2c x squared. Do you see that? So those are my x squared terms. Okay, so I'm writing this as a x squared. Okay, and then we have plus bx squared. And from here minus 2cx squared minus 2cx squared. So I'm combining this also, right? So I've taken care of this. Now, let me take all the terms which have x in it. So these are the terms which have x in it. And I'm bringing them to the left side. Okay. So a times when you multiply, I get minus acx. Here I get minus abx. Correct? In this case, I get minus bcx minus abx. Now these terms will get multiplied by 2c. And when they come to the left side, the sign will be positive. So it will be plus 2 bcx plus 2 acx. Correct? Now, let us look into the constant terms. So we have a times bc is abc. Here again we get abc, right? So we got 2abc and this is 2abc. They cancel out, right? So the constant terms become 0. So all this, when you are brought to this side, is equal to 0. Does make sense to you, right? So that is how we could actually simplify this polynomial equation, right? So we have terms which have x squared in it and which have x in it. So let's rewrite this. Taking x squared common, I get a plus b minus 2c, correct? Now here, taking minus x common, we could take, or we could even take positive x as you wish. What are these terms? We got, see, acx, abx, bcx, abx. So we have these combinations of abx and abx. Do you see that? So acx and acx also we have a combination. So we could actually combine them. Do you see that part? So let's combine and write down our terms. So what I'm doing here is trying to select AB. So we'll say ABX and minus ABX. So that gives me minus 2ABX. Correct? Now let's look into the next term, which is ACX. We have got minus ACX and plus 2ACX. So that means I get plus ACX. The third term is minus BCX and plus 2 BCX. That gives me plus BCX. Does make sense. Constant term is 0 equals to 0. Correct? So here, the x terms we could take common from here, x, and then rewrite. So what we get here is x squared times a plus b minus, 2c. And let me take minus x common. In that case, within the bracket, I get, this is a term which is positive, so which is 2ab, and this becomes negative. Since I took negative common, ac minus bc equals to 0. Clear? Now I can take x common. So if I take x common, I get x times a plus b minus 2c minus, within brackets, it is 2ab minus ac minus bc equals to 0. Now since x is being a factor, now x could be 0. So one solution here is x is equal to 0, right? So equating this x to 0, we get one solution. Now, the other solution we get from here, right? So that is to say, we could say that x times a plus b minus 2c is equal to 2ab minus ac minus bc, correct? Or x is equal to 2ab minus ac minus bc divided by a plus b minus 2c. Correct? Does make sense to you? So that becomes the second solution for this particular equation from the second factor. So these are two answers. Correct? So that is how I am going to solve this particular question. I hope that helps. Perfect. Now let's move on and take up question number 3. Here is question number 3. Now you know how to do it. I'd like you to pause the video, solve this, and then look into my suggestions. Now look here. To solve this particular question, I will use a good strategy. So I'd like you to pay attention to what we're trying to do now. So we have this similar equation as we had been working in question number 1 and 2. So what we could do here is we have x minus 2. We have x minus 2 over x minus 3, right? I could write this as x minus 3 plus 1. That gives me x minus 2. Do you see that? Which is, again, I could write this as x minus 3 over x minus 3 plus 1 over x minus 3. Do you see that? So I have 1 plus 1 over x minus 3 for the first term. You get an idea, right? Similarly, the second term, which is x minus 4 over x minus 5, I could split this as x minus 5 plus 1. Correct? Divide by x minus 5, which could be written as x minus 5 over x minus 5 plus 1 over x minus 5, which is 1 plus 1 over x minus 5. Do you get this part? So this is a very neat strategy which simplifies your question quite a bit. So if I do that, first term could now be written as, so let's redo. So we have x minus 2 over x minus 3. So I'm writing this as x minus 3 plus 1 over x minus 3. Correct? The second term here is x minus 4. I'm writing this as x minus 5 plus 1 over x minus 5, right? Equals to 10 over 3. Correct? This is like 1 plus 1 over x minus 3. Here we have 1 plus 1 over x minus 5 equals to 10 over 3. Clear? So we get 2 here and these two fractions. Slightly simpler than what we had. So we can write this as 1 over x minus 3 plus 1 over x minus 5 equals to 10 over 3 minus 2. Do you see that part? So we kind of simplified this particular expression. Now, so we can take common denominator here. So we get in the denominator product of these two, and we get x minus 5 plus x minus 3 in the numerator, right? And the product we get x minus 3 times x minus 5 in the denominator. Similarly here, we get a common denominator of 3 and we get 10 minus 6 in the numerator. Now let's take it to the right side and solve. In the numerator we have 2x, x plus x, so we have 2x, and minus 5 minus 3 is minus 8 divided by product of these two, which is x squared, and minus 5 and minus 3 will give you minus 8x. 5 times 3 is plus 15, correct? Equals to 10 minus 6 is 4 over 3. Now we can cross multiply and simplify this. You can see 2 is common, right? So we can actually cross multiply, or we can simplify this dividing by 2 also. We can take common factor 2 and simplify it further. Anyway, we'll do 3 times 2x minus 8 equals to 4 times x square minus 8x plus 15. As you can see, 2 is a common factor which we could have brought outside. So, and then divide each term by 2 to simplify, right? So anyway, that gives us, let's take 2 outside. So we get 3 times 2 times 3, and we get x minus 4 equals to 4 times x square minus 8x plus 15. So we'll simplify this a bit. Dividing 4 by 2, we get 2 here. Now the equation becomes 3x minus 12 equals to 2x square minus 16x plus 30. Bringing all the terms together, we get 0 equals to 2x square minus 16 minus 3 is minus 19x. And as far as the constant term goes, it becomes 12 plus 30, which is 42. Right? So we get a term which is a quadratic equation, and we can actually factor this and then solve. Now the two numbers whose product could be 42 times 2, what are those two numbers? And the sum 19 minus. So we want to get product of 42 times 2 and the sum of minus 19. So let's split this. 42 is like 6 times 7, right? So we could have 12, yeah, so we could use 7 and we could use 6 and 2, which is 12. Perfect. So we'll split this into 2x square minus 12x minus 7x plus 42, and then we'll factor and get our solution. Is it okay? So when you factor, we get 0 equals 2. Now you have 2 times 2x times x minus 6 is a common factor. On this side 7 is a common factor. We get x minus 6. So we could write 0 equals 2 x minus 6 times 2x minus 7. So the solution is x equals to 6 and x equals to 7 over 2. Correct? So these are the two solutions for the given equation. Perfect. And of course, if you want, you can write restrictions that it cannot be 3 and 5. So I hope the steps are absolutely clear, and that is how you could actually solve it. Well, this is the strategy which I thought of sharing with you, but it is not necessary. You could straight away multiply as we did earlier and solve this particular question. You may have to work with bigger numbers, that is all. But even then, I hope you understand all the steps. Feel free to share your views and your suggestions, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that would be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.